Welcome to the Empower Hour with Greater Nashua Mental Health. The Empower Hour will provide information and support about mental health, substance use, and behavioral health. Our goal is to share inspiring stories about transforming lives, to strike down stigma, and to encourage our community to reach out and get help when needed. Mental health is part of all of our lives. It's time we talk about it. I'm Dr. Cynthia Whitaker, President and CEO of Greater Nashua Mental Health, and it's time to get empowered. Hello, and welcome to the Empower Hour with Greater Nashua Mental Health. I'm Dr. Cynthia Whitaker, and I have the privilege of being the CEO at Greater Nashua Mental Health. Thanks for tuning in to the Empower Hour, where we talk about the services, our partners, things in the community, and stories of recovery. Today with me, I have Pam Wellman, who is the Executive Director of Family Promise. Welcome to the show, Pam.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, Dr. Whitaker.
It's all good to call me Cynthia, no problem at all.
Okay.
So let's start with being the Executive Director of Family Promise. How long have you been there? What does that mean? What does that look like for you?
Well, I've been in nonprofit for almost 40 years. I've had the privilege of serving as the Executive Director for Family Promise of Southern New Hampshire for the past 12. Before that, I was with Greater Nashua Mental Health for almost 5 years.
You were.
It was a great joy in my life to be with all of you and meeting so many people who are still amazing colleagues of mine right through the industry, the homelessness industry, which is what Family Promise is. I have Family Promise of Southern New Hampshire is an affiliate of Family Promise National out of Summit, New Jersey. We've got almost 200 affiliates in 45 states. We are one of 4 here in the state of New Hampshire, and we work very collaboratively and together, covering all of Seacoast, Greater Concord. Most recently, we opened an affiliate in the Lakes region, and Southern New Hampshire, which covers all of Hillsborough and Rockingham counties.
Oh.
And what we do is low to middle income families who, because of the housing market, because of job loss, because of a tragedy in a family, lose their homes and they've got nowhere to go. I call them the C students. They fall through the cracks, right? They have careers, they have children, they make money, but they just can't keep up. And one tragedy in life can snowball into so many other tragedies in life. And then they experience housing instability and homelessness. One thing that I've always been so conscious of, and it's perhaps being with Greater Nashua Mental Health, is the close collaboration that we have with Greater Nashua Mental Health. Many of our families, our children, our teens, God bless our teens, they're our future. We do so much work in that space with our middle schoolers and high schoolers, showing them what their true value is, or hoping they realize their own true value and their own beauty. And we get them into educational programs and work with them to develop their own sustaining futures. But so many of our families are with you as well in all of your beautiful housing and program services. So we're grateful to be part of this community and be part of, or have the partnership that we do with Greater Nashua Mental Health. I
mean, it certainly takes a village, as they say, right? And I think our Nashua community is such an example of that. From FQHCs, federally qualified health centers, working with the community mental health center, to many service providers, housing providers, and just so many great folks. So of course it goes without saying that there'd be a partnership.
I've had the pleasure and the privilege of working in other communities. I have to say that Southern New Hampshire is one of the most collaborative, the most partnershiped communities I've ever experienced. And it's really a joy to have served here for 12 years.
That's so great. You mentioned one thing that I think a lot of folks don't know about Family Promise of Southern New Hampshire already, which is that it's connected to such a broader a group of family promises throughout the country, and just how big of a footprint that is. What else might people not know about Family Promise?
That we are part of a national organization.
Yeah.
Family Promise nationally is the largest housing organization in the country.
Wow.
It's so consequently, we are afforded amazing programs with best practices in the industry, national legislative advocacy opportunities, all of those things. So we as executive directors and affiliates can operate and understand holistically and have a broader picture of what our industry means across the nation. And then we are trusted as affiliates to bring all of those practices back to our own homes, so to speak, and serve our communities as they need to be served individually. So that's huge. Other than our residential program, and what that is in a nutshell, I mean, I could talk forever. You know me. We have families can live with us for up to a year or so. We say 12 months, and in that time that they're with us, we help them rebuild their lives so that they're once again sustainable. Again, many of our families have careers, they have beautiful children, they've had homes, but they lose them, and the trauma is just tremendous. So in that, we take each person in the family, whether you're 6, 16, or 60. No age restrictions for our programs, by the way, which is unique. And we work with you holistically to make sure that every person in each family is whole and healthy and in their best place, again, with educational opportunities, with health and clinical, all the things that all of us need, right? As humans, body, mind, and spirit. And then they live with us for up to a year, and we help them rebuild and help them search for their next home, whether it's home ownership again or renting. It's a very difficult challenge right now for my staff because of the housing shortage and the market being so narrow. But we do find those wonderful landlords who we work with, and they just love our families because they know they've got great credit, money in the bank, and good jobs.
Right.
And then we also have our prevention program, which means that we help everybody, low barrier, anybody who is unhoused, look for housing by providing resources, financial stability. In 2025, my staff was actually able, along with some of the other partners in the community, to prevent 194 evictions.
Wow.
And we worked with 2,535 individuals. The need is great.
That's so great.
It's a huge piece of what Family Promise of Southern New Hampshire does in this state.
There's like so much in what you said that I think bears calling out. So one,
Please do.
one is that because you have access to this national network, you're connected to what is well known to work, right? Like we use the term evidence-based, right? So it's not, Family Promise is not just we're providing a house for someone. It's evidence-based programming around that family to help them move into sustainable care of themselves, right? Sustainable housing afterwards.
Correct. We take the deep dive into case management. We are, again, unique that way, and we don't let our families go. Once you've walked through the doors, you're part of the family forever. And we have about 60% of our graduate families or people who we have touched in the world and helped them come back and volunteer. They come back for classes. They come back to do a load of laundry. They just come back to sit and chat and feel connected again. It's truly, we are well named. It's Family Promise, and we hold up to that legacy. We just love our work. We're blessed to do it.
I so love it. It's more than a housing program. It's a whole life program, really.
It truly is.
And then the second thing within what you mentioned that really I think is important for us to point out is what you said, there's no age restriction. There's also no family constellation restriction either, right? You have single moms, parents together, single dads.
Correct.
Right? So say more about no restrictions.
We're very low barrier. Because our residential programs are communities, it's a community setting, we can't have any dangerous crimes against humanity as residents in the home, but they become part of our prevention program. So it's low barrier with respect to that. But we have absolutely no age restrictions. We've had a grandmother who had custody of all 4 of her little granddaughters. She dressed them all the same. They were just beautiful children. Aww. She was 60, And she had, we went through the adoption process with her. We were in court helping her to adopt her grandchildren, right? It's just beautiful. Oh, we can have a mom and dad with a 19-year-old son and a 12-year-old daughter and so on and so forth. That is a family. That is a child. The only difference is that anybody who comes into our program over 18 will be crim checked just for safety, for the safety of the entire community and themselves. So yes, we know, and single fathers, you mentioned single fathers. It's a growing place in the world. We have 7 single dads right now across our 2 programs. We can have up to 100 people in our residence on Crown Street in Nashua. And it's a 37,000 square foot building, old Infant Jesus School that we've renovated. And then we have a separate facility in Derry where we can house up to 36 people, 8 families at a time. And we have 7 single dads.
Wow.
It's amazing. I think there are 4 more. I just met with Melissa this morning, 4 more on the wait list.
On the wait list.
Yes.
How big of a wait list do you have? Is there a lot of need?
Right now we've got 17 for our residential program, and then Joanne Perez, our prevention program director, her phone answering machine maxes out at 100 per week. She maxes out every week. She's getting over 100 phone calls from people who are about to be evicted or need some resources or just need help with utilities, people in need. So on that wait list, she's trying to do as best as she can.
Yeah.
But she's got constant intakes. So.
Yeah, that was going to be my third call out, was that I think a lot of folks think about Family Promise as only the residential program.
Correct.
And don't realize the wealth of resources or other advocacy and support that you can give folks in that prevention program. So I'm glad you mentioned that a little bit.
We also have our supportive housing and master leasing program. It's our 3rd program. And what that is, it's a great program for landlords. And landlords are catching on and realizing what a great program it is. It's a Family Promise national pilot that we've adopted here in Southern New Hampshire, and it's working really well. We lease spaces, units, or apartments or homes from landlords, and we sublease to families or individuals who can afford to pay a rent, submarket, but not much submarket, can afford to pay and sustain that particular rent. We are the tenants, and we sublease to people who we know are good people who qualify and can do this. Landlords love it because we've done the vetting.
Yeah.
We are their tenant, so we pay the rent, and in turn, our tenants pay us.
And is there some support that comes with that, so that
Case management.
to help the tenants keep that housing?
Financial education programs, which we offer to everybody, and also family and parenting education courses. And other opportunities, focusing on resume building and career building and all of those. We've got professionals that come in as volunteers and teach our families and our community what that all means and the great opportunities that are there for them.
So it sounds like a lot of education. Like when I think about case management, I often think about, people are helping you find a resource or connect to a resource. And so that might be doing for or doing with. But then you're also talking about education and giving people the information so they can do for themselves.
That is our principle.
Yeah.
We will lead and guide as needed, but we do not do for.
Yeah.
It's a hand up. It's not a handout. So we do guide people through those processes, even building their credit back up again.
Right.
We can't make the phone calls for them. We can sit in the room if they need the guidance, but they have to make the call. It's their credit. It's their social.
Right.
So we can't
You can
do
do the
that
role
work.
play with them to get them comfortable with making the
Correct.
phone call, but it has to be them.
It's all boosting people's confidences,
Yeah.
not just our teens, and making them realize their beautiful value and how smart and just beautiful people that they are, right? But also our parents and also the people that come to us from the community. Everybody has a value.
Yes.
And
I
everybody
agree.
needs that education brought to them with compassion and respect. And that's how we deliver it.
Right. I mean, we all learned along the way and got confident because we learned and had experience and practice.
Right.
That's all people need, is somebody to gently give them those same opportunities to learn,
100%.
grow, and, learn the things and practice the things that would make them more successful.
Isn't it our failures that teach us our greatest lessons?
For sure.
But give us our greatest strength too. And there's something wonderful about each time we failed.
Yeah.
And being able to get back up.
Yeah. I always like to think of it as like the gift.
It
right?
is.
Like, what was the gift in that experience or that failure or that challenge?
Right.
And because there always is, if you can come at it with those eyes. And sometimes you need others to show that to you, or to give you the respect and the kindness to help you see it. Because when you're beating down on yourself, or it's hard to see.
It really is.
It's hard to see.
Aren't we so blessed as women in the industries that we're in to be able to give that to somebody?
Yeah, to be able to give somebody that, see them, right?
Absolutely.
Them be seen, be heard,
Absolutely.
be valued. Yeah, so important.
It is.
So important.
And it's one of the greatest experiences of my professional careers. I've always thought that and felt it. And just to be able to continue to give it is just such a joy.
Which makes me think, I'm sure there are hundreds of success stories of people attaining housing and moving on, and you're talking about folks coming back and checking in. And what you just made me think of is there's also so many small moments of success. And, a lot of times we focus on the big ones, but there's so many small ones. But what would you like to share in terms of like success stories, or in your 12 years there, what stands out as some of like the shining moments?
There are so many.
I can imagine.
There are so many. I have to say, and what comes to my head right away as soon as you asked that was just watching the professional development of my staff. I've got an amazing staff. Each person, there are 10 of us, 12 of us, and they are so active in the community and so well respected for the integrity of their work and their knowledge. I love that. As an executive director, I feel like I've always been everyone's backup band. Right. I don't have to be prima donna. I don't have to be star of the show. I don't have to be head speaker. Watching my staff deliver their craft as they do it best, and I can just back them up and sit there thinking, who could say it better? I love that. I love that.
It seems to fit the philosophy of Family Promise in the same way, right? You're not out in the front doing, you're empowering them to do for themselves
100%.
Based on their role, the same way you empower the people that come to Family Promise to do for themselves.
I can't do their jobs as well as they can.
Right.
They are the expert.
Yeah.
Again, I am their backup band.
Yeah.
And I just love being with each one of them. But it is the same with the families. My husband, Scott, he's been in mental health for 40 years. We always say that if we could do our careers all over again, we would absolutely focus on middle schoolers and high schoolers. We just love they're one of my favorite age groups, humans.
Yeah.
I just love them. I love listening to their stories and seeing the intelligence and the creativity and wanting to be involved. And one of the greatest gifts since I've been at Family Promise in 12 years is watching those teens grow into beautiful adults, successful adults. It's stunning.
Yeah.
Stunning. They are our future.
Yeah, seeing a lot of growth.
100%.
Yeah. Some people might say, breaking the cycle, right? Like helping them have the skills they need to be successful as adults.
You just said it, Cynthia.
Yeah.
It is, if we want to break generational poverty and the cycle of all of this, it is with the children.
Absolutely.
In their education and their opportunities.
I love whenever you get passionate and you light up about, especially middle schoolers, I just love it because I think they're a group that has a lot of stigma middle schoolers, right? You know, like,
A little bit.
and yet, if you can get past that gruffness, I mean, they're just trying to figure out how to do life in that stage. I mean, you find the souls of beautiful humans.
100%.
Yeah.
But also with that is watching them realize that somebody really cares.
Yeah.
They push, kids that age, they just want to push back, right? And they don't care and they don't want you to care. And of course they do.
Of course they do.
They want you to care and love and so much. So watching that transformation. I just had a young boy in my office today. He left school. His father found him at Dunkin' Donuts hanging out with his friends. He was in my office. We turned him right around and he's got a meeting tonight with some of the staff just to be able to talk to him about opportunities at the community college for maybe summer internship programs because he wants to go into the trades.
Right.
It just turned around in a half an hour in my office and I thought, what a gift.
What a gift.
For him too. He was lit up when he left. He was a little grumpy, but he was like, all right.
Right. And so looking at that challenge instead of why did you,
Exactly.
Okay, what are you trying to tell us? Why are you not invested? What would you rather be doing? What is your passion really about?
And after 3, I don't know. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
You know, come on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah. Well,
It was fun. I love it.
but
I love it.
what a gift to the young person, their family, the community, the future community. And I think the ripple effect of the work that Family Promise does is huge.
It truly is. It truly is huge.
Yeah.
And it does have a tremendous ripple effect. We really enjoy working so collaboratively with our community partners too, though. We stay in our lane, we do what we do best, but we just work so collaboratively with the other housing programs and certainly the soup kitchen emergency shelter and mental health and our welfare offices, our school districts, our faith homes. We're an interfaith, and 2 guiding principles of Family Promise National is interfaith and volunteerism. It's pretty cool to have an interfaith connection. We're a not religious organization, but we have the support of many different faith homes, which is just a fascinating educational process for our families to explore different faiths that you never even thought about before. If you want to, we don't proselytize or push that on anybody, but it's available. And when the world becomes so different, don't people turn to some kind of spirituality?
Right.
We have that to offer to our kids and to our parents.
It's a whole other episode of the importance of a broad faith or a broader belief or spirituality, its impact on mental health. So much there. So just, again, like you say, you're not pushing any opportunity. You're just providing people with education and information that they might not otherwise have had access to. And then helping them choose for themselves.
Exactly.
What matches them, their inner compass and where they want to head in life.
Yes.
Yeah, it's nice that piece doesn't get left out.
We're blessed to have that piece.
Yeah.
And we cherish it, and it's a foundation of who we are.
So we are recording this right as your retirement is being published.
It's true. It's true.
Your replacement's being announced. I'm just curious how the transition has been. What are you thinking about? The legacy you're leaving to the next person. Just whatever comes to your mind about that.
There's so much that comes to mind. But it's also so simple. Anywhere in life we enter into an opportunity or a new place in the world with all that we are. We give it all that we have. We nurture, we build, we empower other people to be at their best. And then you realize that you've done a lot. You're proud of that, but then also for the sake of the organization, for the staff, for the community, it's time to leave it in the hands of someone who can take it into the next place in the world. into the future. Not shy to say I turned 68 years old in February. I still have tremendous energy. I tell everyone I'm Grammy on the trampoline with our little 4-year-old, and I want to be there.
Yes,
you know?
beautiful.
It's where I want to be in life. But I will continue as a consultant for Family Promise because we were gifted a, excuse me, we were gifted a third building in Manchester. We've always covered Manchester. It's been a heavy lift trying to cover Manchester and Rockingham County out of the Nashua office.
That's right.
Now we've got Derry, and then we're gifted a building in Manchester by Bob Singer, who's just a wonderful philanthropist. I'm working very closely with Mayor Jay Rouet, who's just a fabulous human. And we will open a third facility in Manchester early spring of next year. However, it's a large lift. It's another capital project, another capital campaign. So once I do pass the torch on May 18th to LaTanya Muccioli, who we all know and love, and I'm proud to say this, I'm just so honored that she'll be the next executive director. I will assist LaTanya in raising that project and bringing it to life so that it's enough for her to take on our current operations. She's more than capable of doing it all, but in time. And I will do this project as a consultant, so I'll still be around.
But what a beautiful gift, right? That instead of either staying on as the executive director to try to do it all and finish this project on your own, and then have to look for someone, you're saying, no, let's do this together. I'm going to step back, let you take on and learn, and stay here and support this big other thing.
100%.
Until it's here ready for you to take over managing it all.
LaTanya's so excited about our partnership, and so am I.
Yeah.
You know, and we've planned for 14 months now a strategic and succession planning initiative that's going to launch in July. So I told my board originally that I'd retire by the end of this year. I decided to make that a little bit earlier so LaTanya can own all of that process.
Yeah.
She doesn't need, or any executive director doesn't need to inherit someone else's strategic plan. She'll make it her own.
Make it her own, yeah.
And the staff is thrilled that she'll be there.
Yeah.
The board is thrilled. The community's thrilled.
Yeah,
God is good and life is wonderful.
I mean, if every process could only go that smoothly, I mean, and again, right, I think it speaks volumes to your leadership, the values of Family Promise, of, you know, making sure that it happens in a way that's not good for individuals, but is good for the collective.
The most important here is the future of Family Promise and its ability to serve all these beautiful families that we encounter. Right, we're community servants. We're here to serve the community.
Because the need is great.
It's getting greater and greater and greater.
So we need the legacy of the organization to sustain and keep going and to serve whomever the future needs have for it to serve.
Exactly. And you know yourself, I mean, our industries change rapid fire daily. LaTanya absolutely has. She's at the forefront of all of these new and innovative changes. She leads them with the committees, state committees, and I mean, she is just so well respected throughout the state of New Hampshire. She's at the forefront, and she is the one to lead Family Promise on all of those fronts.
Right, in the new future that we're seeing and what's
100%.
kind of headed our way. And I think also we'll carry the torch of the collaboration. I mean, in having come from public health, I mean, public health is all about community collaboration.
Certainly is.
Right. And so, you know, certainly the Mental Health Center has worked with public health a lot, and I'm fully trusting that we'll continue to support the families wherever we are needed that come to Family Promise.
It's all very exciting. I can't wait to just watch it all bloom and keep growing and be as beautiful as it always has been.
So we're just sort of thinking about that future. Are there? I think it's hard not to think about the future as bleak, right? Because there's so much. There's the housing crisis. This and that. What do you see positive coming for the future?
I honestly feel a return to family unity. I think the sanctity of so much that has been lost because of all the trauma that many of us have been through in our individual lives, in our communities, just throughout the world and all the things going on right now. I think that the sanctity of family, the sanctity of faith, the sanctity of love and respect, it has to come back.
Yeah.
I am so positive when it comes to all of that. I seek it, I search it, I try to speak about it and allow other people to feel it and see it too. But I really think that the sanctity of all of that is coming back once again.
Yeah, this morning I was having a conversation with someone about just the respect for the humanity in one another. Like, so I'm a human, which means I have strengths and weaknesses. You're a human, means you have strengths and weaknesses, and just that mutual respect and understanding.
Absolutely. Enough is enough.
Is where we got to get back.
Right.
Back to finding. And I think, like you said, like when people have negative experiences or challenges or traumas, we learn and we get better. And, may this collective trauma we've kind of all lived through these past few years bring us to that new place.
It is our hope.
Renewed place. Yeah, it's my hope too.
It is our hope, my hope. But I do feel positive about it.
Yeah.
I guess that's what carries me and many of us that do believe in the positivity of all of this returning to humanity.
Yeah.
Every generation adapts. Every generation has been through its own history and its own trauma and its own wonderful things. And we adapt.
Right.
But, we need to adapt as family, as community, as good humans.
Would that be similar to your response? Like if people ask you like, oh, how can you work in housing? Because I hear that now like a lot. Like mental health is hard. How can you even do that? Like, is that sort of how you respond? Like that people with that humanity?
Yes, because Family Promise's mission is to restore families, keep families together, and to educate them as to what families need to do together and build together. And we have extensive family educational programs. We have focus groups for all the little kids or the parents of the little kids or the single dads or the teens, We just do so many focus groups on what it means to be part of your family unit. You right now in this time and you at 15 years old, this is what it means to your little siblings and to your parents. This is so all of that family unity and through our family education courses is exactly what we teach with the with the sanctity of family and keeping families together.
Maybe we need to figure out how to scope all of those educational services and get them to everyone, not just those that are seeking services from Family Promise.
It would be wonderful to be able to do that.
Yeah, because certainly from the mental health side, when I hear that, I think, yeah, so many families are just individuals cohabitating, not really familying.
Right. And having responsibility to your family.
Yeah, and then the negative impact that has on individuals' mental health, on the collective, on all kinds of things. Yet thinking about how do we have responsibility to one another really makes a difference.
Absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
And that's what we try to teach and try to educate.
Yeah, I love that value. Yeah. It's so important.
It is.
And how you see that in the future. Anything we haven't talked about that you would want people to know about Family Promise, whether it's its history or where it's headed under new leadership? Anything stick out that we haven't talked about?
It's just such a beautiful mission.
Yeah.
And wonderful organization. And please do reach out to us if you know of somebody who's struggling. We all know people who are struggling. Please reach out to Family Promise. We can provide resources. We're opening this beautiful facility in Manchester. We'll be able to have another 16 families there. Yeah. And we're excited about that because we can then more efficiently serve Greater Nashua by just serving Greater Nashawans right in Nashua. Derry, Rockingham County people in Derry, and then our Manchester people in Manchester. It's so much healthier for the family to be able to grow where they're planted and not have to, travel so much and navigate that space. So, but please reach out to us.
Keep people connected to the resources in their community that they know. So you are have a website, you have social media. What's the best way for folks to get in contact with Family
We do
Promise?
have a website. It's www.familypromise, SNH, as in Southern New Hampshire. Don't forget that S.org. So that's our site, and we're on Facebook, and we're on Instagram, and all of those things.
Awesome. And then that's just a way for people to reach out. And if they get into that voicemail box, that's okay. They'll get a response.
They
because
absolutely will.
That's what you all commit to. And
Joanne Perez and Melissa Johnstone will call you back, we promise.
I love it. I love it.
And so will I, always.
That's so great. Well, I so appreciate you coming on and talking about Family Promise, kind of housing in general, and how we work together as a community to focus on it. And I appreciate the 12 years you've given, what you're going to continue to give, and I agree. I look forward to kind of what's to come next.
Thank you so much.
Well,
and we've just absolutely adored our partnership with Greater National Mental Health. You've been so good to us.
Yeah.
Your staff is amazing, amazing humans too, and certainly you are.
Oh, thanks.
At the helm.
Thanks. It's the same thing. We're here to serve and, help people find their best path forward by understanding what's happening in their brain and having information. Those things bring hope and healing and a path forward for
Healing
people.
the traumas.
Exactly.
Thank you so much. It's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure and so grateful to you. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you. Thank you for watching the Empower Hour with Greater Nashua Mental Health. We wish you an empowered day.